Good morning. I'm going to talk about Andermatt, Switzerland, and Roaring Spring and compare the two. That was my plan. But before I get into it, I want to say that this morning online there's a Facebook group called Only in the Cove, Morrison's Cove, and really suddenly a post uh, woke everybody up, I think, because the post was about the rumor, which is getting stronger and stronger, that the paper mill site is going to be developed as a data center. Uh, I mean, I've heard that rumor all over the place, and a lot of the posters are wanting to say, is this really a rumor? Let's find out. Is it true? Uh, but anyway, all of a sudden there were like 100 responses to that. It's like the community woke up to what's going on, which is great. But I've been plugging along here, trying to suggest that whatever's done there should should bring into account the beauty that I say, the natural beauty of that site of Roaring Spring. I keep returning to the idea that what I mean is sort of the God given beauty of that site, or nature given, quite regardless of what humans have done with their buildings and their factories and stuff. Although the birds, so I don't want to go back into that right now. What I want to do is tell you about the experience of Andermatt, Switzerland. And I don't want to do it in just one video. I'm going to take some time with this because I've been in that little tiny town on four different occasions. Uh, I know it well. All right, I'll just make it short here. Andermatt has a population of about 1,500 people. It's very, very old. And it's right at a crossroads where the St. Gothard Pass, coming from Switzerland over the Alps into Italy, goes up the gorge, the Schurlen Gorge. It's sort of a little hard to say. It goes up this gorge, and once it gets up to the top of the gorge, it's on this flat area. Then it continues up over the St. Gothard Pass and goes down into Italy. That's one road. There's another road going from, say, the Rhine River from down by Liechtenstein, Austria, and coming, and it crosses that road before it goes over. First it goes over an Oberalp Pass is the name of this one. Then it comes down a little bit. And then it goes over the Forklaus Pass. Now these are spectacular. The Forklaus Pass is spectacular. It's the source of the Rhone Glacier, but it's out of sight. It's maybe 20 miles away. And I'll say more about that beauty. But in any case, it's at this crossroads, and I've twice with students. Well, 2 nights with students. I stayed in a hotel there, but before that, I had gone through it several times. All right, anyway, the last time I was there with students at the hotel, I was talking to people there, and they talked about the werk, they called it, the work. There was a big work in progress in the village, because, I saw what do you call them, the cranes, the things that lift materials and all that. Some big goings on down there, in a kind of an open field. And I remember the waitress, probably a waitress that I was talking to, said there was a little bit of a concern about that. It was making noise all the time as they were building it, and I don't know. And I was a little bit concerned too, because that village is such a beauty. The architecture. But that was, I'd say 12 years ago, 13 years ago, and they were just building it. Well, what had happened was an Egyptian billionaire had bought the site, and he ended up putting $300 million into what he built. You can. It's called the Chedi, Chedi, Chedi Hotel, and it. I mean, it was a whole big project. There were residences that they built, and since then there's been a second really fancy hotel. This is a five-star hotel. Well, that's $300 billion. When I looked up that figure, well, first I'd worried. I said, well, that's probably going to just spoil that town. And I looked at some videos of the town again, yeah, and it didn't from the air, from the sky, it didn't really show up very much. A bunch of brown roofs that hadn't been there before. But well, I'm going to repeat myself here because I'm trying to get this information in quick. So I started looking at it, and I thought, how could that big of an expense, did it pay off, you know? And I looked just yesterday, I think it was, and it said, I put the question, was the Chedi Hotel a success for the town of Andermatt? I questioned something like that. And AI or whatever came back pretty soon was saying, yes, it definitely was. The people were happy with it. That's what the computer was telling me. And that it had a 70% occupancy rate 2 years ago when they had the data. And the rooms cost per night between $1,300 and $2,000 a night. If I'm not mistaken, there are 300 rooms. You can look this stuff up. You can get the figures exactly. And it was reward or supposed to be or proclaimed to be the finest mountain hotel in Switzerland or the Alps or something like that. So it had been a big success. Now I even went down and I looked. I wandered around in a hotel with their videos as they're promoting themselves, and so, boy, it's nothing like anything I'd like. I think I'd rather sleep in a haymow than spend any time in a hotel like that. I just, rich people are just not my folk. But anyway, outside it looked different. It didn't look like a Swiss chalet, of course, but it didn't damage the village. I'm a little bit tempted to see if I can find somebody to write to communicate with online. Maybe I'll try, that lives in Andermatt, and see what they have to say about the effect that it had on there. But I am thinking that there is an alternative for Roaring Spring. It wouldn't have to be $300 billion or $1 million. The whole project was way more than that, but the hotel itself was like, it could be modest, but a better solution probably for that site, I've come to think, than anything industrial other than the tourist industry. And if you're thinking, well, why would people go there? Well, the natural beauty of it. But beyond that, the town itself and the people themselves, they're worth going there and being among. Well, I'm being kind of in a hurry, and now when I come back to Andermatt, which I will tomorrow or sooner, I'll tell you more slowly about that town and that situation. But I wanted to get this online right away. Leap ahead if you want. Andermatt, Andermatt, Switzerland. Chedi Hotel. All right, bye for now.